Deep in the sweltering heat of the African savannah, a 1-ton African buffalo stands motionless in a riverbed, its eyes heavy with exhaustion. Known to big game hunters as the Black Death, this formidable titan possesses enough raw muscle to flip a vehicle and the sheer aggression to gore a lion to death. Yet right now, this apex herbivore is being slowly eaten alive from the outside in. Thousands of tiny, swollen, blood-sucking parasites have invaded every inch of its body. They cluster thickly inside its ears, coat its sensitive eyelids, wedge between its hooves, and crawl along the soft flesh of its underbelly. Each tick acts as a microscopic syringe, driving its barbed mouthparts deep into the buffalo's thick hide, gorging on blood until its body expands to 10 times its original size. The constant agonizing itch is debilitating, but the true threat is far more sinister. These parasites carry lethal blood-borne pathogens that infect the giant's bloodstream, causing fever, anemia, and organ failure. Left unchecked, the king of the savannah will be drained of its strength, reduced to a hollow shell until a pride of lions stumbles upon an easy target. But as the desperate bull plunges deep into the murky river, an unbelievable transformation begins. A coordinated multi-species army answers the call, descending upon the floating giant from both the sky and the aquatic depths to wage a brutal war against the parasites. To understand why a giant buffalo requires an army of cleaners, you first have to understand the nightmare that is the African tick. On the savannah, ticks do not simply attach and drop off, they launch coordinated invasions. A single buffalo can host up to 10,000 ticks at any given moment. During the wet season, tall grasses become living landmines, where millions of larvae wait at the tips of grass blades, holding out their tiny legs in anticipation. The moment a massive buffalo brushes past, thousands of larvae transfer onto its coat in a fraction of a second. They migrate toward areas where the hide is thinnest and the blood flow is richest. Once anchored, the tick secretes a cementing substance that glues its mouthparts into the flesh, along with an anesthetic that prevents the host from feeling the initial puncture. As the parasite feeds, it secretes toxic saliva that breaks down the surrounding tissue, creating an open pool of blood beneath the skin. Over several days, the host's body fights a losing battle against inflammation and blood loss. A heavy infestation can drain nearly a pint of blood a day from a single animal. For a weak or aging buffalo, this relentless drainage is a death sentence. The itching drives the animal mad, forcing it to rub against rough bark until its skin peels away, leaving raw, open sores that invite secondary infections and blowflies. Desperate for relief, the buffalo seeks out a specialized battleground where the savannah's most bizarre cleaning alliance takes place. It enters the shallow, muddy waters of a river, immersing its heavy body until only its nostrils, eyes, and top of its head remain above the surface. The moment the giant settles into the current, the signals go out across two completely different realms, the sky above and the waters below. First to respond from the air are the specialized airborne surgical units of the bush, Oxpeckers. Dozens of red-billed and yellow-billed oxpeckers drop out of the acacia trees like feathered missiles, landing directly onto the buffalo's head and neck. These birds are biologically engineered for this precise work. Their sharp, curved claws grip the buffalo's coarse hair like crampons, allowing them to hang upside down, scramble along the underbelly, and walk effortlessly across the animal's face while it moves. Their beaks are laterally flattened, acting like living scalpels and forceps designed to comb through dense fur and slice through parasite attachments. With mechanical precision, the oxpeckers go to work on the beast's face. They target the most painful and vulnerable zones where the buffalo cannot reach with its hooves or tail. A red-billed oxpecker hops directly onto the buffalo's eyelid, using its bill to snip a fully engorged tick right off the delicate membrane. The buffalo does not flinch or blink. It remains frozen in total cooperation, understanding that the brief pinch of the bird's beak is the price of survival. Another bird climbs inside the cavernous depths of the buffalo's ear, driving its beak deep into the ear canal to extract a cluster of tiny burrowing ticks that have been causing excruciating pressure. The sound of rustling feathers and snapping beaks inside the ear canal would send most animals into a frenzy, but the buffalo simply tilts its head to give the bird better access. The oxpeckers systematically sweep across the neck, shoulder blades, and forehead, plucking off hundreds of blood-filled ticks every single hour. Each tick consumed represents a tiny dose of rich protein and fat for the bird, turning a deadly biological plague into a vital food source. However, the relationship between the oxpecker and the buffalo is not a simple, peaceful fairy tale. It is a razor-thin line between helpful symbiosis and outright parasitism. While oxpeckers consume vast quantities of ticks, they have an appetite for something even richer than tick meat: warm, fresh host blood. If a buffalo has an open wound or an abrasion from a past fight with a rival bull, the oxpeckers will deliberately peck at the edges of the scab, keeping the wound open and drinking the blood that trickles out. Biologists have observed oxpeckers actively creating new wounds or enlarging existing ones to prolong their feeding sessions. In many ways, the bird is both a savior and a secondary parasite. Yet despite this gruesome behavior, the net benefit to the buffalo is immense. The removal of thousands of disease-carrying ticks far outweighs the minor blood loss caused by the bird's peckings. The buffalo accepts the painful trade-off because the alternative is slow, agonizing destruction by an army of parasites. While the battle rages above the water, an even larger and more impressive force mobilizes beneath the surface. As the buffalo wallows in the river, the water around its submerged body begins to boil with activity. Hundreds of freshwater fish, primarily species of cichlids, barbel, and red-breasted tilapia, dart out from the weed beds and river bottoms, drawn by the massive silhouette of the submerged mammal. In aquatic ecosystems, large animals act as temporary reefs, and the fish recognize the giant as a walking buffet. As the water softens the buffalo's thick skin, ticks attached to the legs, flanks, and underbelly begin to loosen their grip. The fish move in with startling speed and precision. School after school of cichlids swarm around the buffalo's massive legs, picking off attached ticks, parasitic leeches, and dead skin flakes with their small, specialized teeth. The larger barbel fish, growing over 2 feet in length, target the underside of the buffalo's body. They slide beneath the belly and around the groin area, using their fleshy barbels to feel for raised bumps along the hide. When a barbel detects an engorged tick, it strikes with a forceful suction snap, plucking the parasite clean off the skin without harming the buffalo's sensitive flesh. The sensation of hundreds of tiny fish mouths nibbling across the skin creates a soothing cleaning effect that visibly relaxes the giant. The buffalo stretches its body out in the current, lifting its legs slightly to give the underwater cleaning crew unimpeded access to every crevice. In a matter of minutes, the water around the buffalo becomes a bustling cleaning station, where the barriers between land and water disappear. Terrestrial parasites that evolved to exploit large mammals are systematically wiped out by aquatic predators that would otherwise never come into contact with a buffalo. As the fish strip away the parasites submerged in the depths, the commotion in the river creates a domino effect across the entire local food web. Flocks of cattle egrets and fork-tailed drongos gather on the riverbanks and overhanging branches, watching the spectacle unfold. As the buffalo shifts its weight and kicks up mud from the riverbed, it dislodges aquatic insects, crustaceans, and small frogs hidden in the sediment. The cattle egrets wade into the shallow water alongside the buffalo, snapping up the fleeing organisms that are flushed out by the bull's massive hooves. Meanwhile, clever fork-tailed drongos swoop down from above, capturing tabinid horseflies and tsetse flies that attempt to land on the exposed hide of the buffalo's back. These biting flies carry sleeping sickness and inflict agonizing stings, but the drongos intercept them mid-air before they can pierce the hide. What appears on the surface to be a chaotic feeding frenzy is actually a masterclass in ecosystem synergy. No single species in this arrangement acts out of kindness or altruism. Every participant is driven purely by the ruthless law of evolutionary survival. The oxpecker wants high-calorie blood and protein. The cichlids and barbel seek an easy meal delivered directly into their aquatic habitat. The egrets and drongos exploit the disturbance created by a mega herbivore to catch elusive prey. And the buffalo, standing at the center of this incredible convergence, endures the pecking, nibbling, and swarming because it is the only way to purge its body of a microscopic enemy that would otherwise destroy it from within. Hours pass in the cool river current. The sun begins to dip below the horizon, painting the savannah sky in shades of deep amber and crimson. Slowly, the buffalo rises from the water, dripping mud and river water from its dark, heavy flanks. The transformation is startling. Where thousands of swollen gray ticks once hung in thick, suffocating clusters, the skin is now smooth and cleared. The agonizing itch that had driven the bull to the brink of exhaustion has vanished. The inflammation around its eyes and ears has begun to cool, and its vital strength is returning. The birds lift off in a synchronized burst of feathers, returning to their roosts in the thorn trees, while the schools of fish disperse back into the dark depths of the riverbed, their bellies full. The buffalo steps out of the river and back onto the dry grass of the plain, shaking its massive head with a deep, reverberating grunt that echoes across the valley. It is renewed, restored, and ready to face the endless threats of the wild once again. It rejoins its herd, strong enough to defend its place among the bulls, and powerful enough to face a pride of hunting lions in the dark of night. In the brutal, unforgiving wilderness of Africa, survival is rarely a solitary achievement. Even the largest, most aggressive beasts cannot survive on raw power alone. Ultimately, the legendary Black Death owes its continued existence not just to its massive horns or thick skull, but to an astonishing network of hundreds of tiny fish and sharp-billed birds that work tirelessly to keep the giant alive.